Hello and fuck cape shit again. Welcome to the part two, continuing off with our last week's comparison of the sort of business, how much business they do, not so much the weird and non-transparent measurements of money and backers, which can be faked on Indiegogo much more easily than on Kickstarter. That we've gone into, previously, not just in the last video, but in a lot of previous videos that we've done on this channel, but also on the prior incarnation of our channel that again got false flagged for telling the truth.
This just goes to show how much more dangerous we are.
Yeah, and it straight up is. It's I'm not exaggerating when I say we were false flagged for telling the truth. I mean, unironically, we were false flagged for telling the truth, and people got angry and campaigned, and to the point where not campaigned in a specific term, because there's so many ways to say that now, but
It didn't
people
take
were
much
straight up
for
making up
YouTubers
lies
really
about us, doing death threats or doxing people that have blown up in their faces and that kind of stuff. But even that doesn't really get publicized. A lot of people work very hard to keep that buried. And, we've talked about that in the past, too, of course. And we'll still do videos about that. And, in fact, there will be videos about that on our Subscribe Star. So again, these videos are all brought to you by our Subscribe Star backers, and if you want to see the hidden lore that is now not allowed to be in public on YouTube, you have to check out you have to get through the pig paywall. Again, we used to make all these videos public, and it's not our fault that we have to put them behind a paywall now just to let people see them. Because it's just the way it is that our videos get reported false flagged, our channels get taken down, and nothing ever gets done about that. No, people don't stand up and say, hey, it was wrong that this happened. They instead make excuses for it. A lot of people go around saying, oh, we don't support that, and then they actually have supported it. Like, there's a literal paper trail of them financing the people who are responsible for it. If you've even watched a monetized video by someone like that Umbrella guy or Nick Rekieta, you are directly complicit in flaggatry and gay ops and that kind of thing, and that is objectively provable. And there will be a video about that on our Subscribe Star again, because if we posted those in public, they would just get false flagged that much more. So check out our Subscribe Star to get informed about the reality of what's going on under the surface of the lies and the fucking the sophistry of some of your favorite YouTubers. Did you know that some of your favorite YouTubers are pathological liars and sociopaths? I mean, that's probably not too surprising. Every YouTuber's a sociopath. And by the way, we're not YouTubers, so we're nice, normal people. I'm a VTuber. I'm a VTuber right now. But anyways, we're going to add up the basically the sort of customer base, especially the growth. I think this is worth it to show the growth, because the previous one we added up Ethan's sort of business base was about 10,000 people over 2 books. So here we're going to go into Kamen America Volume 1. That made $20,000, humble beginnings in comparison, with 1,023 backers. So let's. Oh, I clicked on this.
funny. The further they get away from the stupid Comicscape bullshit, the better, the more
Yeah, that's the
popular
thing.
they're
They're
getting.
having a natural growth as opposed to a natural measurable growth, which you can see. They're getting more followers everywhere on Twitter, even on YouTube, but you can tell their YouTube is not their basis. Kickstarter itself already has like a built-in support system for comics and a built-in audience for comics. So you go to Kickstarter, there's already people who just go to Kickstarter looking to back comics. Whereas on Indiegogo, it's a smaller site, a much smaller site, and it doesn't really have that built-in support system. Like Kickstarter specifically has a system for comics. It's got this whole built-in thing, and for like, hey, are you looking for comics? Here's a whole section for comics. Whereas with Indiegogo, they didn't have that for quite a while. But anyways, so starting off, Kamen America Volume 1, and I could count all the Black Ops books too, but I'm just going to start with Kamen America Volume 1, 1,023 backers. Then we go to 2, holy shit, it immediately doubled to 2,000, let's see, did I hit plus? 2,179 backers. So, and $66,000. So that like fucking, the money tripled and the backers easily doubled. Then we go to Kamen America 3, which again, about the same amount of backers, 2,273. But again, we're not counting the total backers or all that. We're counting basically the overall business. And the money gained too, though, 87,000. So people were buying more. They had a few more expensive tiers, but overall, it was still ultimately the books that people were buying. And then after that was the here's the Black Ops Omnibus in Volume 3, which they did around this time. So I am counting this one. Let's see. This was May 5th, 2020, or last updated. When was the date of this? I don't know, whatever. But I know this was a little earlier. This was before Kamen America 3. In fact, I think it was in between 2 and 3. But anyways, this one had, let's see, 1175. And, let's see, Black Ops X Kamen America then had 2280, and then now Kamen America 4, and this is only so far, but this is a good gauge of what it's fucking got so far. First week, 2358. So add that all up together, and it's 11,288, which is easily on par with the business that Ethan Van Sciver did. If you remember, the add-up we did for Cyberfrog last week was 10,231 backers. And again, a lot of that has to be adjusted for how much graft and how much non-transparent scamming you can do on Indiegogo. Not just that anyone can do on Indiegogo, but that Ethan Van Sciver admitted he has that sort of back alley deal or sweetheart deal where Indiegogo will let him do multiple concurrent campaigns. The thing is that we just counted the campaign for the book. So Cyberfrog 1, Cyberfrog 2, combine those with Kamen America 1, Kamen America 2, Kamen America 3, Kamen America 4, Black Ops 3, Black Ops X, Kamen America. Those are all individual books, and all of those have been released, or in Kamen America 4, the case of Kamen America 4, has been finished already. Whereas Cyberfrog, only the first book came out. It was half the size of an average Kamen America book. And, maybe a little larger than half the size.
So
I think it
not
was
even going
supposedly
into the
48
quality
pages.
of the actual book.
It was 48 pages, but then if you take out like the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 pages that were all blank, Cyberfrog number 1 was really closer to 40 pages. So we have these added all together, 11,288 books sold essentially for the Kamen America books versus Cyberfrog's 10,231. And again, we're intentionally not counting the times that he simply took the same book and resold it in order to, most likely, what we can kind of only speculate but seems pretty obvious, was to drum up money in order to attempt to actually pay for the shipping. Where in the first campaign here, he pocketed the money for shipping and just blew it on like a boat or a house and that kind of stuff. He blew the first one on a house, we know that, because he bragged about it costing about the same amount of money as the amount of backing that he got for Cyberfrog 1. So, again, all that added and adjusted properly for how much business they're doing. And again, we could be completely overselling this. Like the 10,231 that we had to properly adjust for, all the people who backed multiple times or fucking bought multiple copies and it counted as multiple customers for Cyberfrog. We could be completely overselling it. It could be far lower. It could be closer to 8,000 or 5,000 versus Kamen America. And after all, we did count Cyberfrog 2, which was promised late. That's a good point you made, is that it was promised late. The campaign ran until May 15th, 2020. And again, the comic didn't come out. Still hasn't, it's been over a year and a half. It should have been released May 15th, 2020. It should have started shipping May 15th, 2020. Like, that's what happens with all the Kamen America books. As soon as the campaign's over, it starts shipping. And there's no reason Ethan Van Sciver can't do that, especially because he doesn't even do the coloring on his own comics. And his art isn't really good or elaborate enough to justify the long wait time either. His art is incredibly wonky. If we just fucking dug into this picture as massive anatomical flaws, it's really quite ugly. It's like this chick, she's supposed to be hot, but she has not even counting the ugly and over cluttered design of Cyberfrog itself versus Kamen America's nice, clean, colorful, happy, and also simplified enough design where it's not too simple and it's vibrant and it's it's got the playful elements and fun and also attractive, appealing, which is then compared to this ugly, weird chick with like a weird disconnected ear that's at the wrong angle, a weird man jaw. She's got like kind of gross beady eyes and fucking, and then a Cyberfrog tattoo on her back, which it implies some really uncomfortable Mary Sue-ish qualities about Cyberfrog. A Cyberfrog is a Mary Sue.
With all the problems that fucking goes with that.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, comparing all this together, though, Kamen America's just the Kamen America books with a couple Black Ops books. That's not even adding the other Black Ops books. Like I could add Black Ops 2, which I think would be about another $1,000. In fact, where's Black Ops 2? Search for products or Black Ops 2. Where is it? Is it on this? Fucking more filtered? Sorted by magic. Where is it? Okay, I can't fucking find it. Was it on Indiegogo? I don't know. You know what though? Wait, I should be able to fucking hit Tim Lim. 6 created. Yeah, Black Ops. Yeah, I don't think Black Ops is on here because, again, there was a very messy situation or a fucking whole thing to compare to. Is that again, Indiegogo was the dictated site that you were only allowed to use Indiegogo, and again, if you doubt that, people have been screamed at for less, just for even thinking about why don't we use Kickstarter. All of a sudden, they found themselves getting screamed at behind the scenes or even in public by Ethan. And again, if you deny that or you don't know that, that means you're in the dark. That means you are ignorant. You are an ignorant person by nature, though, not by happenstance, but inherently as a person. So I think that's all worth bringing up. But here, just the Kickstarters, 11,000 backers, and you can say that that's at least on par. So because again, you're going by books sold. That's how many books were sold. Is that and again, they've gotten these books out while Ethan was just getting one book out that's a fraction of the size. So this is how many books they've that Tim and Mark have sold is over 11,000, just of the ones we looked at on Kickstarter. That's not counting the Indiegogo ones, because they do Indiegogo campaigns, and then there's also they're selling comics on Kindle now, and in fact, they're getting huge numbers in Japan. A lot of Japanese people are buying Kamen America now just because of that appealing art style. It looks cute. There's funny bunnies with fucking knives and shit and goofy shit like that. And
They would
Japanese
know.
people are probably reading it in English, or at least looking at it, because it's like, hey, it's just a few bucks on Kindle. I can just buy it digitally and be looking at it right now. And that's it. That's all you need. That's the thing about the digital market that we've been saying since 2012. And directly to people like Ethan Van Sciver and Richard C. Meyer, which will wrap up the video, getting into the hilarious outcome and how Richard C. Meyer has now backtracked and fucking started repeating what we were directly telling him. I remember leaving a lot of comments and even a few emails to him telling him, first, that he was wrong, second, that this is how the industry is really going. But Kamen America selling, we didn't even count the sales of the digital copies on Amazon Kindle, which is, here's the reason why that's important, because it's an entire other store. If you can sell anywhere, like if you're just selling on one site, you're inherently limiting yourself. You need to fucking get your book in as many stores as possible. Because let's say,
Amazon's one of the biggest, of course. Amazon's like, that's the fucking
yeah,
man,
it's
the
like the biggest
mammoth.
online store on the planet. And again, there are problems with Amazon. We were pointing that out before anyone in Comicsgate. But at the same time, it's still a store. Use their fucking system. Use their infrastructure against them, and to make your name. And that's how you actually fight the system. But again, a whole other topic. We've covered that years ago, and a lot of people are only just now starting to parrot what we've been saying without even realizing. That was another thing we pointed out yesterday on the Discord. Is that everything we said starts leaking into the public subconscious in time, regardless, and eventually everyone says what we started saying first, demonstrably. That's not speculation. It's not ego or vanity. It's not bragging. It's just objectively true. And fucking, we were able to point to it to the point where people are able to say, shit, you guys are actually right. You were saying this exact thing. And now I'm seeing, like a year or two later, I'm seeing other people say the exact same thing you guys were saying. Even even people who said you were wrong are now repeating what you were saying. And it's like, yeah, it happens it's been happening for years before any of this Comicsgate shit. And before Shitty Webcomics ever existed, too. So we have a long history of that. The women posting their L's account, like blowing up and becoming a huge thing, is another example of that. My brother started that years ago. And again, we've gone into that. That's all completely public and known. And irrefutable, in fact, because I'm pretty sure the original thing you started that that sort of soaked into the public subconscious is still up right now, and you can fucking link to it. Or I forgot if it got deleted or something, but it doesn't matter. And by deleted, I mean banned, of course, because that always happens.
Well, feminism backfiring
Yeah, that one
got deleted,
specifically,
but the precursors to that are actually still up.
and why she is hated and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So again, like 11,000 books sold versus essentially what is maybe around 10,231 books sold, estimated versus objectively measured. Because again, you can't actually know the objective measurement of how many books were actually sold on Indiegogo through its design, and why it was chosen is because it can obfuscate the real facts and figures and create a bigger false image if you want to, whereas Kickstarter doesn't
Fraud,
let you do that the same
kind of
way.
like fucking The Big Short. It's like the amounts of fraud going on are
Yeah.
just through the roof, record numbers.
And yeah, not just that you can on Indiegogo, but then there's an extra deal that Comicsgate has behind the scenes with Indiegogo that, Ethan let slip about, is that they have a special agreement that Indiegogo looks the other way for them running multiple concurrent campaigns for the exact same book to essentially pad their numbers and bilk some extra money to try to get the book finished or shipped or something like that. That's long been established as true. And the thing is that again, Tim and Mark don't do that. Tim and Mark have never done that where they take the same book and just resell it with a different packaging. So really, the real way to tell how the business is going, how their business is doing overall, is take the time period that they've sold this amount of books versus the time period that the other guy has sold that amount of books. And it's got to be the book. It's got to be an original work. Because if you just take the same book and sell it over and over again, and that's the whole thing that we've said before Comicsgate ever existed, is that variant covers are a scam to just sell the same book over and over again. It's one of the more corrupt parts of the comics industry that should never be imitated by anyone ever. And yet Comicsgate did it and supported it openly after even claiming that they were against it. They claimed that they were against it before they were for it, which, that's very left-wing of them, very leftist, very Democrat Party, very SJW of them, along with the other SJW behaviors that they have. So yeah, when compared overall, Tim and Mark selling at least the same amount of actual books that Cyberfrog does, even counting the book that Cyberfrog is not out yet and fucking may not release this year. But I think it could release this year. It just may not. But again,
One thing that he's definitely not too busy for is shit posting.
Yeah, meanwhile, that's another
on
thing.
Twitter.
Ethan is still streaming multiple hours a day, but also very blatantly getting caught on sock puppet accounts, cope posting to articles that are praising Tim and Mark's books, which are continuing to grow, whereas Cyberfrog is shrinking. And so, that's the thing. And Cyberfrog, like Ethan knows he's shrinking, so he has to use Indiegogo to create the false image of growth, to hide the shrinking. Whereas on Kickstarter, Tim and Mark don't need to do that. And are showing growth that's actually starting to explode bigger than it ever has been before because they're branching out. Whereas Ethan is not. Ethan's not selling. Ethan's not putting comics on Webtoon. He's not fucking putting comics on Amazon. Whereas Tim and Mark are putting their comics on Webtoons and Amazon and having this all at the same time. They're increasing their global profile. And that's really the real way to grow, is get your comic in front of as many eyes as humanly fucking possible.
They're doing it by making the best book.
Yeah, exactly. And actually getting them out there. First of all, they're making more books, whereas Ethan's not doing anything. He's not working on his book right now. And if you're seeing this and his book still isn't out, that means that an entire month has passed when we said that Ethan's book still isn't out, and he still hasn't finished it and released it. That's how long it's taking him. Anyways, what we're going to wrap up with is just a little quick mention of somebody here posted fucking on our thing saying, here's Comics Matter with your boy Zach saying, learn to love digital. What will comics be like when we exit the forgotten age of 2015 to 2025? And of course, this goes to show the delusion, the fucking dishonesty, and the fucking missing the boat, as we told guys like Ethan and Richard to their face that they're dead wrong about and that they're clueless. Richard especially was clueless, and that Comicsgate going along with him was choosing to be willfully ignorant about the digital question, the DQ, if you will. And we've done videos about this going back years and years. And in fact, we confronted Ethan about it directly on stream, which he responded by misdirecting, changing the subject, and refusing to even acknowledge it. But what happened here is, and again, fucking, what is with Richard's just bizarre capturing here? It's only got like 75% of the fucking video taken up here. It's just blank space. It's really stupid. But Richard
making videos.
Richard finally waking up to the reality that digital comics are eating his lunch. And that he has no control over it. He has no clue about how it's already been happening. And he's also very obviously clueless about the forgotten age of comics is actually from 1995 to well past 2025. And the comics that he makes are going to be part of that. They're already part of that. People still, like a bunch of people in the comics industry, have no clue that he's even doing anything.
He's the one who's like trying to push Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
It's like the guy who, the first thing most people heard about on the internet about comics was the Rob Liefeld hate page.
Yeah, it was the 40 worst Rob Liefeld drawings, which was really just goofing on him, but it was also accurate about how bad his art was. To the point where even the Deadpool 2 movie goofed on how he can't fucking draw feet.
Like that has more staying power and more notice than fucking anything that Comicsgate's ever done, anything Richard has ever done. He's been on The Daily Show or whatever it was.
It was the Jim Jeffries show. Here's another thing very much worth bringing up, though. He's still trying to hype his other comics going. He has 2 that are over a year late. And he's trying to bury them. He's trying to fucking ignore them and not acknowledge them. So every time he does a video, he's not acknowledging his comics that are still late and not coming out. That are late because of him. It's not. He said the art's finished and he still hasn't released them. And in fact, it's getting very suspicious and bizarre in a couple of those cases. But he's on the way out. His comics are going to be forgotten. It's already happening. The fucking the real fucking next era of comics is starting with Kamen America. And the comics that people like Richard make are being forgotten as we speak. They're not only going away, he's not even releasing them anymore. He hasn't released a comic in over a year. The last comic he released was a fucking complete dud where even his own supporters were talking about how bad it was. And so this is the end of his career. Richard C. Meyer's comics career is coming to a very inevitable end, and it was very deserved too, because it's just his comics were always dog shit. They were objectively bad. They made objective flaws in story structure and storytelling and continuity that you could point to and say, here's a continuity error, here's another continuity error, here's a mistake in the storytelling that could have been fixed by anyone who cared about the writing or storytelling. And Richard makes those mistakes every time. And people give a pass on that because the standards for comics are so low. But it's people like Tim and Mark and us, of course, who are starting to raise the bar. And that's what the actual new era of comics is going to be. That's what the legitimate indie revolution will be. It will be getting rid of people like Ethan and Richard and the other fucking hangers-on and incompetent losers around them.
And we're not getting rid of them because they're frauds, even though they are. We're not getting rid of them because they're grifters. We're getting rid of them because at no point did they ever ask for better.
And we're not getting rid of them. It's the world getting. It's not me and my brother are getting rid of them. We're not acting to get rid of them. The world is saying, we don't want your comics anymore, Richard. You can't deliver them, but even when you do, they're dog shit. They're terrible. They're badly written. Every time you see somebody go like, oh, it's well written, you're watching somebody with bad taste, who is, again, irrelevant, and they are the people being phased out of the new era of
The
comics as
American
well.
people are tired of cape shit.
Yes. It's already happening. It's too late to do anything about it. So, unlike reshare, uncomment, regardless, it doesn't matter if anyone watches our videos. We're objectively right. We get proven objectively right every single time, no matter what anyone says, and it's already happened in ways that you can literally point to and
Another
say, "Here's
way
something we said," and then maybe a year later, it's like, "Wow, we got
powerful
proven right again."
than Comicsgate.
Yeah. And again, if you want to be on the cutting edge of what's going to happen next, uh, just remember, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics. Also, back us on our Subscribe Star. These episodes brought to you by Subscribe Star. You get access to the secret videos and the stuff that Comicsgate would normally false flag if they were able to see it. If only they could get past that $5 fucking paywall. That's too much to ask of them, of course. To be told the truth that makes them, it hurts
I
them
mean,
to hear. They're not going to
they
pay
can't
$5
pay
to
for the
be
price
told
of
a
a
painful
fucking
truth that rapes them.
to even mail out their own comics as anything other than junk mail.
Painful rape facts. Comicsgate is not going to pay $5 to be exposed to rape facts, which is a new type of fact that we invented that's so painful for people to hear. It's like rape, but not of their body, of their soul. Anyways, yeah, so check out the links below for all that shit. You can send us questions on Curious Cat too, I suppose. But more importantly, just send us money and Bitcoin. There's a Bitcoin link or a Bitcoin address below. But the Subscribe Star has access to a ton of secret videos and reviews and all sorts of in-depth analysis that the normie cattle are not allowed to see without at least paying a nice happy dollar. And then, more importantly, though, remember, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.